I should build the Torment Nexus. Okay. Well, why don't we begin, shall we? Hello and welcome to the Sonic Movie Show, the only home of video game movies. My name is Ethan, and with me, from his victory lap from the previous season, Devin. How's it going?
No, this is communism.
Okay. What movie's
Tetris
that?
quote. Tetris.
Oh, fair. I'm thinking like Sonic stuff
Call
too.
back.
Like, did
know?
Did Jim Carrey say this is communism in one of the movies? I feel like that might have. With us, he did better than I did. I can't take that away from him.
That says a lot.
It says more than I'm willing to say, honestly. David strikes again.
One moment.
Oh, he's getting his draft
my
jacket on. What's
God.
going on?
Fuck.
It's time to get to business.
T-shirt and a
he's locking
blazer
in
is
this year.
such a I showed up to the draft type of thing. Oh my God.
Let's get this thing cranking.
Meanwhile, your dog is wagging his tail in the background. That's all
He
you
loves
see.
it. He's in it.
And it looks like it's on you, so it's like your tail's wagging. You're like, I'm so excited.
David's a furry. You know what I mean? Don't be a hater. Would you got a problem with furries, David?
I have all the problems. Let's get it.
Well,
Is that what you actually wear to like work?
No.
That would be funny.
This is
David's
my
big time,
wedding
though.
and funeral suit. My only jacket.
Okay. At least it's getting another. Hopefully, they'll a better use. So
Yeah.
I mean, it looks good. It doesn't look like there's any like a lint or
Thank you.
hair on it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's actually
keep-
doing the more
keep it in the
Japanese
closet.
style, where he has the graphic tee under it.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, that's the Shigeru Miyamoto, if I ever. And they had
Yeah, I definitely am doing this for the cool factor and not because I didn't want to put a full suit on.
I mean, if you put on a full suit, I probably would have been so embarrassed I wouldn't be able to continue the show.
Well, I wanted it to be a little bit of a surprise. So,
Well, you
I
should have
said
told
last
me.
time I was gonna.
I would have worn one when then we made Ethan.
Oh yeah.
He
Oh
doesn't
dang.
have.
Well, next year.
I
Don't
rented
forget,
my
don't
suit
forget
for a
next
wedding.
year's.
Yeah. Well, by mental note
Yeah.
next
All right,
year.
all right,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
And then we'll do the watch along of us putting doing the thing.
Sure.
Yes, hello, hi, welcome, Sonic Movie Show. Hey, you know what? It's episode 251 here. You know what that means? It's the start of a new season. We arbitrarily decided 50 episodes is a season, and now we are on our 6th season.
Wow.
What we like to do during these seasons is watch video game movies, the old ones and new ones, but just generally the old ones. We've done 2 seasons in which Devin and I, and then David and I, drafted from a pool of these video game movies that we had not reviewed yet on the channel. And we fought for points over them, and we wanted to see who had the best movies. And the first time we did it, I won with just under a point, less than a point, over Devin. And then last season, Devin had defeated David in a similar. It was more than 1 point.
It came
but
down
was
to the
less
last
than
movie.
2,
It
I
came
think.
down to the last movie. Yeah.
And I was dead last, but not by that much, considering the movies I picked.
A number.
That's the
of
only thing I
points.
can say of it. A number of points, more than 3 and less than 200. We're here to do it again. But we're going to do it a little bit differently this time. So, folks, I'm going to show the kind of grid lines here so that we have a visual for us. Those are the movies that we're going to be picking
Wow.
from. That's the game show. There we go. Years prior, the idea was, hey, 6 movies each. And we had a total of 24 movies to pick from. 18, obviously, is the total of movies that were picked, leaving some movies left over, 6 movies left over. We're going to do it the same way. However, we have a little bit of a difference. Devin had suggested this. David had corroborated with him, and I agreed to it as well. There are some movies that are obviously, well, I don't want that. We need to watch these movies at some point, and if they're an available option to pick, there needs to be some sort of incentive or requirement to pick such a movie. So this time around, we are going to be picking each 4 movies from a general pile of 18. That is separate. They have a list as well. Devin and David have a list as well. They could see it. It was I'll show back the graphic in a moment here. In addition to those 4 movies we were picking, there is a subsection called sequel series. These are, in this case, all animated. Sequels to animated films we had reviewed on prior seasons. Last season or the one before, for instance. We each need to pick one movie from that set. There are 3 movies. All 3 of them are going to get watched. It's just a matter of who is responsible for that movie's end result. And speaking about responsibility, someone who has never taken responsibility for their actions, Uwe Boll is our last little section there. Similarly, there are 3 movies. We each need to pick one. So we got 4 movies in general.
Which is...
One sequel
could be a
series
bad
and
idea,
one
but
Uwe Boll. We'll see. We'll see. We're guaranteed 3 of those movies this season.
Hopefully not 3 postals, because then that might end the show.
We'll see. And in fact, yes, these are all the ones above us. The blue and the reds are just blue and red just to differentiate which is a movie and which is also a different movie. And then those gold ones are just colored that way to differentiate. Those are the sequel series. And then the rainbow ones, because I bet he has opinions about LGBT people. Those are the Uwe Boll films, as those are to be chosen. We have to do a giraffe. Giraffe. A giraffe is my favorite animal, by the way, so I'm not against saying giraffe. Yeah, I think it's a goofy creature. Why the fuck are they like that? It's awesome.
Do not question God's choices.
I love it. It's just like they can't drink water without doing a split. They have to do a split in order to drink from the stream or the pond or whatever. It's funny.
Some people got to do that too.
Yeah, with my tummy, I mean... if I want to drink from the ground, I have to get down on my knees, I guess. We have to pick these movies. So here is the idea. Last year, we just did a snake draft. There was some miscommunication on what it was. We all knew what it was, but we were communicating the idea differently, and I ended up looking like I didn't know what I was doing, but I definitely knew what I was doing. We have...
Wow, the most Trump sentence ever.
It was being beautiful.
It looked like I didn't know what I was doing, but I did.
The liars and the haters. We've decided to do the same order. So just like how you saw, where's my mouse cursor? Here, hey, my movie's on the left column, David's in the middle, Devin's on the right. And, first pick is at the top, second pick's just below that. Reading left to right, that's how we did it last time for visual simplicity. Hey, the next movie is, what's to the, just how you would read. We've decided that because I lost really badly and that Devin won, we could keep it in the same order. Helps keep this layout the way it is without moving our little circles down here around. So they suggested, Devin offered, hey, I like last pick. I'm like, I'd like to go first. There we go. I think it all works out. And David's in the middle because he's a centrist. I'm on the left here. Yeah, but Devin's blue. So what does that mean? So yes, we're going to be picking these movies. Now, we need to make sure that we're on the same page here because we had a lot of ideas floating around. I want to make sure we know what we're doing. So again, 4 movies from the red or blue section, 1 gold movie, 1 rainbow movie, right?
Yeah, I have a question of clarification so that we're all on the same page. And this is for the audience as well. Cause
absolutely.
So far, me and David were talking about this, and I think we were right before, or hinting at, and I think we maybe are thinking the same thing. Are we only allowed, like theoretically, for your first pick, if you're like, man, I know those Uwe Boll films are going to suck, but I think House of the Dead's going to be like actually a banger. Could you pick that first, or are we all like, we're doing each section at a time?
That's what I was gonna say. I think I think you should be allowed to be like to do exactly that. Be like, yes, I want one of these earlier. I think that is more interesting. We also are going to be picking our counter picks. So then think of it this way as well.
Totally forgot about that.
Each of us will have 2 counter picks that we are going to pick. So basically, using me as an example, I will have a counter pick on one of David's movies, and I will also have a counter pick on one of Devin's movies. David for me and Devin for me and David. That's how that works, right? we had decided to make it a little bit spicy and to make the point differential really dramatic, maybe, to have your first counter pick, the first counter pick you make, which, by the way, they will just be slotted in the draft, so it'll continue to snake and it'll just reach the counter picks like that.
And theoretically, you could counter pick halfway through the draft if you want to, is what it sounds like, right? Or no, or counter pick's got to be at the end.
No, it's got to be at the end because
so
you need to be able to see all the movies. And so first off, you can't counter pick a movie someone else had counter picked. I think that seems fair.
That's the new rule that we made because I think both
of you counter picked my Mario movie. I think that was the only one that was doubled up, but still, like, hey, it also makes obviously that its position in the draft maybe matter. But the first counter pick you make, the first one you make must be from a movie that is someone's first or second pick. So, if Devin wants to pick one of my first or second movies, he can counterpick that, or David's first or second. Now, here's just a little wrinkle in the matter. If I make a Uwe Boll film my first one, well, I'm guaranteed to be given someone a good counterpick right away. You know what I mean? Because if I picked two good movies, or theoretically good movies, I don't know. I haven't seen any of these. I saw one of these movies. We'll get into that in a second. I won't pick it, obviously. There's that. I don't know if that's an element. I even think it all the way through on whether or not that matters as much to me picking it or not. But that is a thing. If it's one of your first two movies, it is obviously eligible to be counterpicked as your first counterpick. Your second counterpick, I don't know if we said it must be a third through sixth pick, but
I think it can be anything after that. I think that's what we mentioned. I think it's kind of like you said, making it
forcing you to pick someone's theoretically desired movie.
Yeah, and kind of just I know last year we were like, oh, you picked something at the bottom of my board, or you picked something I had that one higher. So like, we can use that though. It's like, hey, I didn't get that movie, so I'm not going to counterpick it though, because I think that will be good. But if you're like, oh, I think David made a really bad pick at number 2, then I could be like, I'm just gonna. I think in a way you can use the counterpick as to be like, no, I think David messed up here. But also, I think it has a chance to put us in some negatives early, which could be fun to kind of like.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Right. The scores will be way more. I think viable. Is that the word?
Volatile.
Volatile. Thank you. Like I hope the total scores at the end of the season are just kind of like not what we expected, because there's just the counter picks are gonna have more weight to them.
Can I make an argument for something I was kind of thinking the same as Devin? I think of where we can make a counter pick at any point in the draft, because I feel like you're taking a risk that you don't know the rest of what everyone's going to pick. You pick an Uwe Boll one first, and I'm like, man, I really want to counter pick. I'm giving up my pick that round to counter pick you, and then I just am delayed one.
What I will say is I see no reason to not allow that. It was more of just like me personally thinking like, well, if I have more movie options, but like then there's more, But yeah, I think that's fine. And honestly, like after we all pick our first two picks, well, what movies are eligible for your first counter pick anyway, right?
I say maybe make it easy. Because you're not gonna really counter pick in our first round anyways. Probably. It would be
probably
like
not.
The only one we could counter pick, unless you. I guess you could make it like saying you could. It'd be like I could be like, I'm gonna counter pick David's second pick beforehand because I just know. I guess you could make it more complicated, but we probably aren't gonna pick in the first round. So I think you're right that like it won't really like if someone wants to counter pick in the second round, let them because you already got half the available movies on the board. So I'm okay with it being part of like the draft because it's gonna fall in the draft order anyways if we're just following the snake draft.
Right. Yeah. So it's all just slots in there. And like, I guess I have the first pick. If David's first pick is a counter pick on my movie, go for it.
Ethan, with your first pick, you could just counter pick whatever David picks first.
So I don't know about that. I don't think you should be able to counter pick. I don't want that because then I'd be like, David will be like, all right, I'll pick a movie I actually want. This is assuming we are thinking of all these strats because I'm honest. I don't know about you guys, but I'm honest. And
We're
like,
deceptive.
I just
Sorry.
want to watch good movies, so I want to watch good
I do
movies.
too. But I'll say this before we even get into the actual draft itself. This is the first. I mean, the first 2 seasons of this, at least the very first one, me and Ethan, I feel like we knew, like, we've heard about some of these movies, so it was a little bit. And I guess we should. I don't know if we mentioned at the top, so apologies, I'm repeating this, but we weren't allowed to like look up anything. Like if we had some
Right.
prior knowledge, that's one thing, and I think we'll
We
say
could have
that.
shared. At least I shared. You know.
I shared like a clip that I found of House of the Dead that I posted in the Discord, and someone commented about the movie, an opinion on the movie, and I'm like, hey, I saw this just randomly on my feed.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing this. This is the first time where there's only like one movie on this list that I've heard of before because of just prior knowledge of horror movies, for example. So like there's that, but like a lot of these I've never heard of before. I think I've heard of like Hitman Agent 47, I think, because we talked about it when we reviewed the first movie, but
Yeah.
I know it's not technically a sequel, but the first iteration of it.
Right.
That I think this one will be way more chaotic, and like I really don't know where this is going to go, because
same
half
here.
of these are more. There's more animated movies this year, and we typically rate those lower. And there's some of the games I've never heard of, even more so I think than last.
There's a few
season.
visual novels in here, and I will say this: I've turned the corner on visual novels. Believe it or not, David, not every visual novel video game is a horny, perverted thing for teenage losers.
Disagree.
That's what I always assumed, and then like I start seeing someone be
You
like,
realize
"Here-
they're not for losers; they're for lovers.
Here are my top games for the Xbox 360, and they name one of these, not one of these movies, but a visual novel. I'm like, oh, this is just a cool sci-fi, just a choose your own adventure kind of story. All right, and so like I think the two that are on here are like not. I don't think they are inherently perverted, horny messes, but there's a lot
so
of
funny
dating
when we watch a
games.
hentai movie and we're gonna come back into this being like, how do we
Devin
rank
says
this?
it as a joke. Devin says it as a joke, but a movie that is not on this list. I was, making sure I had all of the video game movies I could possibly find, and I look through. I just kind of skim through, like just click, click, click. All right, yes, it looks like it works. It's a movie. There's nothing. It's not a broken file, maybe. And I definitely saw an old '90s animated one where there was a naked woman in the shower. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put an asterisk on this one because I don't know if we'll be able to necessarily review it.
I mean,
as much.
you just described the Street Fighter movie that we watched.
To be fair, I loved that as a kid. Now,
Oh, of course you loved that as a kid.
of course,
That scene specifically. Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, Chun-Li throws her couch at Vega. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're talking about, right? Devin mentioned prior knowledge. I will obviously you guys know this, but I'll say this for the folks at home before I actually say out loud what all these movies' titles are. There is Batman: Assault on Arkham, which is a part of the Batman Arkham Asylum City Night Origins universe. It's all part of that Rocksteady thing. I saw that over a decade ago. It was like 2014, I think. It was in an era where DC made a lot of direct-to-streaming, direct-to-video, neat Batman animated stuff. And I don't really remember much of it. I remember the twist in it, but I remember liking it. It wasn't one of the ones in that era that I liked the most, because a couple of those I saw more than once, but I remember enjoying it. I obviously cannot pick it, but I'm
I
sharing
say you
that.
should be allowed to. I mean, I think like I've heard of Werewolves Within. Like I don't know anything about it. I just heard it was, a decent horror film, for example. Agent 47 we've talked about. I think I've seen Doom Annihilation at Walmart 400 times on DVD. I never picked it up. So I say I'm totally okay if you're like,
Yeah, I'm fine with it as well.
To me, it's like prior knowledge.
Okay.
I think it's one thing if you're like 10 years ago. It would be one thing to be like, I watched like half of these last year, so I have a, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
But I think it's totally. I mean, reason we're even doing this is because we're either We haven't seen 90% of these. But early on in the show, I watched a bunch of like some of the horror movies that we watched, like Silent Hill and Resident Evil. I have Resident Evil on DVD. I posted on our Twitter account like because it was like the original DVD from back then. It has all the cool art in it, and I'm like, or the disc has art on it. I'm like, man, we used to have cool shit in DVDs. So I think it's fine. I mean, it's
Okay.
So if you want to pick it, go for it.
All right, I get it for free. Nice, thank you. No, but I guess we're gonna begin, right? Is there any other questions on how this works? Again,
I don't think so.
We've decided that it doesn't matter what section you can pick. It's your turn to pick. You pick a movie or a counter pick. I will just say this. I don't like the idea of counter picking a slot that hasn't been picked yet. Like in Devin's example,
I don't think it's
David's
worth it personally. I just think
Yeah.
it's if we're just like, I really don't think.
I don't think that'll ever come up because I don't think anyone would actually even do that. Because like Ethan said, you could just, I mean, you're going to do your best to pick a good one at that point.
Right. Like you're just
But
not going
it
to do
doesn't
an
matter.
Uwe Boll one for that slot, I guess.
Sure.
Because you would have that preemptive knowledge. Okay. Is our last chance. Any final thoughts? And I'm asking this for myself as well, because once we start down this road, it's set in
Snake
stone.
draft, just as a reminder for folks
Yeah.
at home.
Let's go through the first kink of the snake draft.
Yeah. So
It would go, I go, David, Devin, David, I, David, Devin,
Yes.
Devin, David, I. Yes.
because some people, some people think it's Devin, then it'd be Ethan. No, it goes Devin.
That's not how
I'm
snakes
always-
work.
Yep, it's not how snakes work. It's
not how
not how the Ouroboros works. He
Well,
eats
that'd be a
himself.
circle. That'd be a circle.
Let's do an Ouroboros draft where we eventually just have the same draft board because
We're just one person. And hey, remember we score them when we actually do the reviews. This is how much points you get for both a movie you picked and a movie you counterpicked. We decided to keep this. We like this because the change we made to the counterpick system we think is enough. Too many variables of like, and also it's more points or less points.
Yeah, there was
however,
conversation of
know.
making it like B being -1, -2, -3. I think we talked about, but I think let's see how this goes this season. I like that we look back and tweak it. Maybe we don't have to.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be perfect. But hey, it's
We've
been
made
close
some
every time.
changes,
It's been fun. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If we go too far, too crazy, we don't know what's broken. If everything falls apart, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I have 10 movies and David doesn't have any. How did this work? Oh, yeah,
Because I
you did
traded
it.
all my movies for this season, so that next season I get all
yeah.
of David's movies.
Yeah. I traded
mean-
my counter picks for 2 bad movies. Like what?
I'm
one
not
to be
allowed to
named
drop
later.
a movie,
Yeah.
but Devin is, so I traded him a movie and $15 for just in the mail. How did that work? And okay, I guess we're going to begin. So to be clear, the drafting order is me, then David, then Devin. That is the actual order that we're
Yes.
going in. And then me again, and then me again, and then me again.
It's just like the rankings last year. I mean, it's typically how you usually do drafts is whoever was last gets to go first. But I always hated going first. So, but Nathan's like, I
We
want to go
decided-
first. I'm like, I won't complain.
Well, I said I want to go first just because it makes me have to do less work for this layout, because then I'd have to move myself and David.
But what do
and all
the
that
fans want?
They're too late now. This isn't live. This is all right. I'm picking my first pick.
All right, the first
Oh,
ever.
boy.
What is one?
Yeah.
What is 1-1, as they say in fantasy sports? 1.
I was going to say in Super Mario Brothers. Now the problem with this is that I did not make the names of these the correct size to fit inside the board.
We can just do short words if it. I have my own sheet here. But
Well, I can. I'm just taking what we see here. It's an image. I'm taking a name. I'm sliding it up to the other image. I just have to make sure that here my first pick is to not beat around the bush and have it be a surprise.
the season 6, but season 3 of this thing draft.
That's right. My first pick is going to be Werewolves Within. Because
Wow.
this is a relatively recent movie, and it was one that we didn't see on the channel, not because of the strikes, because that wasn't that year, but it just like came and went. But then like I don't know. It's new. It's recent. It's a comedy horror movie.
I
You know
think
what? There's
too.
a chance that might not be bad. It might just
I don't
be
know
okay
if I've
at
seen a
best.
teaser for it or not, but I remember a lot of people talking about it. And last year, I had, folks who don't know, every like September, October, I mean, I always try to watch a lot of horror movies as they come out, but like I try to, me and my girlfriend try to like sit down and like we just binge a bunch during, you know, the Halloween season. And last year we did a werewolves theme, and this wasn't on the list, but I remember seeing it thrown around, and I tried to do some more classic ones. So there was almost a chance I would have seen it on a, like, until I realized, oh, this is a video game movie, and then coincidentally it was on the draftable list. So I had this as my number one pick, by the way. So if
Okay.
it came to me, I would have.
Yeah, it was number 2 for me.
So.
Yeah, this is a video game movie. The video game it's based off of is a VR game. I think a PlayStation VR game exclusive. It's like a deduction style social game thing that like was a little bit of a flash in the pan. I never played it, but okay, that's my first pick. David,
Amazing.
your turn.
Yeah.
Maybe sarcastic.
I still have my number one pick. Not going to counterpick that. I think that'll be a good movie. I am going to go Doom Annihilation. It's live action. It's pretty recent. I mean, I feel like it's going to be hard to fuck up an action movie, but like I could be very wrong. So yeah, I'm going Doom Annihilation as my first pick.
Nice. Okay. So far, all I'm seeing is red. Let's see if Devin picks something cool.
Just marking down my draft board, what everyone's drafting. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say, like I mentioned this earlier before we even started this draft process. This is going to be really tough this season because there's more anime movies, typically rank them lower. And a lot of these we have no familiar knowledge of. We knew kind of what Gran Turismo. I heard good things about Gran Turismo. We heard good things about Tetris. Those went in the top picks. They wound up both being S's. Werewolves Within was really it. So this is really tough. And I'm kind of going against the grain a little bit here. But I'm gonna let this go. Let's see. Last Order, Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
I
This
have-
is
I
the
have-
shortest. Sorry to cut you off. This is the shortest option. It was
That could
kind
help.
of
That could help.
That's what I'm thinking. Is that even if it's bad, we typically were like, hey, if it's short, you're guaranteed at least like a D or up. So I'm
Yeah.
like, and if I don't, this entire board could easily all be like high of B's at best. We don't know. So it's just like, this could be a strong pick. I don't know. It's a little risky because it's so short that it might turn into a situation where
It might be. Yeah.
we wanted more
it's
and it wound up being
confusing.
too short,
Yeah.
or it's confusing.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm locking that in.
Okay.
It's not terrible.
Now, Devin, believe it or not, you do get to pick again.
And I believe this next one here is live action. So I went animated. I wasn't thinking I'd go animated this high, but I did. But here I'm going to go live action. I'm going to go Red Faction Origins.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm
I had
like,
that
maybe
pretty
it's
high
a
in mind.
sleeper. Maybe it's a sleeper. A C. Just, hey, it was cool.
Okay. Interesting.
You know, a sleeper C. Sleeper B, maybe.
Yeah.
So far, we've only picked red movies, which I find kind of funny.
Red Faction.
And Red Faction.
I was also paying pretty close attention to the watch or the like lengths, and that was like a 90-minute one, and I was like, that's just about right.
Sleeper C, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, David, it's your turn to pick. What movie is going in your second slot?
You know, I think we had a couple good foreign films last season.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to go Detention. And I'm going to Taiwanese film, live action horror, horror game at least. I assume this will be horror. I'm hoping it's good. It's not too crazy long. I mean, 105 minutes, a little bit over an hour and a half. Not terrible. I'm hoping for a good B on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I am going down a similar path as
Well,
David.
still on the red. Still red.
Keep it up, Ethan.
That's right,
Keep
that's
the
right.
streak alive. Let's see. What we have 3 or 4 to choose from here.
Well, I will tell you this. I want you guys to make a guess because my next pick is one that's red.
Wow.
That's right. I am picking another horror game. I am picking Forbidden Siren.
This one sounded interesting.
Yes. This is a classic PlayStation 2 horror game. I think in America it was called Siren. So like, when we get ready for that episode, finding out which one is which, because I don't know if it was translated or not. But yes. So that is my second pick. I get to go again.
Yes.
I get to go again. Let me consult my notes here that I wrote 3 minutes before starting this. Okay. I understand. Boys, I have good news and bad news. I have good news and bad news.
You're breaking the streak.
The bad news is I'm breaking the streak. We're going blue.
Yep.
The good news is that I think this movie might be fine. The movie that I'm going to be picking is Hitman Agent 47.
Yep. Now I had that 5th, so that means I'm going to get my 4th pick here. And that is going to be Batman, Assault on Arkham.
Okay.
I mean, everyone loves a good Batman movie. I mean, it's strong lore. Everyone goes into it wanting to like it. So I think it's going to be good. I mean, and we know you watched it and gave us a little bit of background that you thought it was, a decade ago, Ethan thought it was good. So
yeah. Absolutely. Okay.
Well,
Devin.
I'll say our draft boards must be similar, but my 4th, which I'm getting technically at the 9th here, I'll take this. And this might be a reach, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. Ethan mentioned some visual novels, and I'm like, maybe a good story can adapt to a good movie. Give me Meiji Tokyo Renka, the movie, or whatever the full title is.
Okay.
Serenade of the Crescent Moon.
Yeah,
Wow.
for the sake of my Excel sheet, I did not write those things out.
Same.
But sometimes those are bangers. You never know.
We will see. I truly do not know. But I am very interested to find out. Wow. All red, all blue. Devin, what's your next pick?
All right, then I'm going to go to an old company here who, has brought to life, some elements of Let's Plays and, the Call of Duty trick shot and, has made careers for folks, has influenced from folks. But they also had a history of, not knowing how to manage their money and whatnot. I think they made this. I don't have my other notes up, but Company of Heroes, I think was Machinima made that one.
I think it was a different one that Machinima made. Street
never
Fighter,
mind.
Assassin's Fists.
Ignore everything I said.
It was Machinima.
Company of Heroes is a strategy game.
Yeah.
Not
I meant the movie.
first person.
I meant the movie.
Okay.
But yes, Company of Heroes, please.
Yeah, I had that one next on mine. I had that one number 7.
Okay. These are our picks
Dang.
so far.
I'll say now, I have everything 1 through 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
1 through 10 on my list has now all been taken. Like
Wow.
it's kind of
Okay.
crazy. We're like all on the same page so far.
Yeah.
Now this is where the money is made right here. We saw what happened last season. This is where you get your points somehow. You play to God, you do.
Getting tough. I'm currently considering making a counter pick.
Yeah. I mean, all
'Cause,
the
like,
first, second picks
If
are
you're
all
not
good.
confident about what's left on the board, I mean, it's a good strategy.
know.
You just go for counter picks.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna push and I can go just the first 2 rows, right, for my first
Right.
one.
It has to be one of those
Yep.
two sets.
I think these are all such strong contenders. I think these are all probably C's or B's, honestly. I'm gonna counterpick Forbidden Siren. I had that one pretty low on my list from what little information I have, and I'm just gonna that's what I'm gonna do is counterpick Forbidden Siren.
Okay.
there was no like amount of watch time on it listed, so we like it could be really long. That made me a little bit nervous. And then also like survival horror, I feel like can be tough. So if they don't like do it really
like
well,
a found footage movie, like
or if they don't make it
really
campy,
bad.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
But I'll say some horror movies with low budgets, like Paranormal Activity, be surprisingly entertaining.
I know. Yeah, it makes me nervous. Yeah.
I get it, though.
We will see. Okay, so
then it'd be
it's a little weird, but now it is my pick. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. I'm picked 3 movies so far from the general pool, and I'm like, oh, the last movie from that pool, or last pick I have from that. The last pick I can make from that pool is either now or I pick something else. So I can't be like, well, there's this one and then there's this one, and maybe I'll do it. No, I have to pick one of these. So now I'm also sitting here and being like, well, do I pick from a series sequel or do I pick an Uwe Boll film as well? But do I risk? I'm risking something here. Am I going to lose? Of course, I get 2 picks in a row. I guess that is.
Yeah.
One benefit where you're like, oh, if you're feeling,
Okay, just realizing that now makes me go, okay, maybe. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick my Uwe Boll film now.
Wow.
Yeah, and like,
You
hey,
think
I don't
one of
know
them is
anything
gonna be a
about
little
these
bit better.
movies. These are all probably really bad.
This is definitely it's tough.
I will say this because the options. Oh, why don't I have it popped up here? The options are House of the Dead. Oh, I never named off all of the movies that were available. Sorry, watch the YouTube video if you're listening on podcast services. House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, and Far Cry are the 3 options. I don't know what any of them look like. I've seen, I think, a poster or something for Far Cry in doing like the initial research to make sure it is a thing for that can be watched for us to watch it. But I don't remember what any of these look like, and I'm trying to think between the 3 of these, what would have the potential to be the most shitty, and what would have the potential to be the least shitty. And just going off of what these games are, I honestly think there's less of a chance that you can make. I don't even know how to phrase this. I think between these 3 movies, the one that would take more effort to make terribly would be House of the Dead, just based off of the concept. It is a light gun game where you're shooting at zombies through an on rails environment, so it's just a haunted horror house ride.
It could be a Dead Trigger though. It kind of sounds like a Dead Trigger. It could be. Alone in the Dark is more of a Silent Hill.
Not a terrible
man
movie.
Going through a spooky place, and Far Cry, it's Far Cry. You know what I mean? So.
Do you even know what Far Cry? The only Far Cry I'm familiar with is like
Far Cry,
the one that's in like the not the Alps, but like Tibet or something.
That was Far Cry 4. But you have the series. Although I guess this would have been like the Far Cry 2 era, which is they were very weird PC type games. So yes, my 4th pick is an Uwe Boll film.
Wow.
Okay.
House of the Dead.
I did have that as my top one for Uwe as well.
Same. That one tweet I shared was basically saying it sounded like it only got worse from there, and I think this is one of his early films, if not his first film. So I think there's a benefit to that, or they're just that bad and it won't really matter. So we'll see.
There could also be people just being like, hey, I didn't know a whole lot, and hey, this movie wasn't that bad. Like when we watched Blood Rain, we were like, this movie's bad, but like it's not that bad. And then we watched Postal, and then we're like, oh my god, what's wrong with this man and this film? And then we looked like, oh wait, this is like a thing, and that recontextualized Blood Rain a little bit more for me. You know what I mean? But if you don't have that, and you're like, oh, I watched that House of the Dead movie, I like that. Maybe this was a bad pick of mine. It's certainly not going to be a good movie. But we will. Only time will tell. Only time will tell.
But don't worry, you get to pick something again now.
Or a counter pick. Or a counter pick. I can either pick a sequel series movie, one of the main list movies, or counterpick one of these movies here. I do have general ideas for counterpicks. However, I do think I want to... This is a movie I'm curious about, if anything. Like, I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but, like... And this isn't necessarily my same mindset I had last season, where I'm like, these are movies I want to watch, so therefore I'm picking them. But, like, this is kind of what it is for here. I'm like, I'm just curious. Like, I've heard of this video game franchise. I've heard of it in ways that I'm like, this seems like very niche and weird. Sega owns it, and they publish it. And I don't even know what the full genre is for the actual video game, or if there's just a lot of spin-offs and therefore genres meld together. But I'm picking Sakura Wars, the movie, as my 5th pick. So, let me replace.
Okay.
Very interesting.
I mean, I'm already in the similar boat. So now you have to get a series next, or start doing counter picks.
Yes, that's right. But it's David's turn to either pick his 4th movie, or he could choose to counterpick again, although his options
and then
aren't that.
And then he's out of counter picks after that.
You're right. Yeah, I don't think... I think it would be, like, of the other Uwe Boll movies, I think I'm safer counterpicking one of those, probably. So I think I'm going to keep going down my list, although my list at this point is just gut feelings. I know nothing about any of these series.
I mean, isn't this whole thing?
It's just gut. Yeah, but I at least know what Doom is. I know what Batman is. I don't know what Tales of Vesperia is, but that will be my next pick here.
Oh, okay.
So,
David's a
I think
hey, this could be like Professor Layton, you know.
It could be. Yeah, right. It's a little bit longer than I would want, but yeah, it's a little
Professor
bit.
Layton's what got you back in the fight.
True.
Like when it looked like it was over. Yeah. And I counterpicked that. And I took the L on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea. If you told me what that title, I'd be like, that. I'm imagining like a League of Legends, like
no,
you know what I mean? Like there's wizards and like mages and. We have to save the town.
It's Final Fantasy. The Tales of series is Final Fantasy. Tales of this, Tales of that, Tales of blah 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 are all in that vein. Actually, I know Devin Bryn had played Ni no Kuni. It is a lot like Ni no Kuni in terms.
Okay,
of
so mages and wizards defending the town.
Yes, but like you said, League of Legends, and I'm thinking gameplay.
Oh no, I was thinking like
Legends
thematic, just fantasy elements.
All right.
Devin gets 2 picks here. He gets his 5th and 6th pick, or he can choose to slot a counter pick into there.
Well, the thing is, at this point, I have to pick a series or go Uwe Boll. Unfortunately, my original strat was hoping House of the Dead would fall to me, and this is where I would pick it. But I'm kind of feeling, and then I was looking at the sequel series here, and I was like, okay, I think. I liked the Mortal Kombat one, but I looked back, we gave a D at that one. I'm like, did we like the Fatal Fury one? No, these are all sequels from last season, so this isn't like from 2 seasons ago. These are all direct sequels to these.
Yep. Thematic ties to our
thematic ties. And we gave D's to all of those. So like to me, it's kind of like I don't know.
Pick your poison.
Well, I think what I'm gonna do is just out of the 3, I liked Mortal Kombat the best, and I feel like. Out of the 3 of us, I think David maybe would lean towards that over the Fatal Fury. I know he did not like Fatal Fury at all. And Persona 3, the movie number 4, David hasn't seen the first 2. So I'm just thinking about where we're ranking these movies potentially. So I'm going to go Mortal Kombat Snowblind here. I'll keep with my Mortal Kombat fandom, I guess.
I did have that in the top of the 3. So I think you were on, and I was leaning more Mortal Kombat than Fatal Fury or Persona.
Yeah, it's tough, but I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
All right.
Just making a note for myself.
Absolutely. All right, you can either counterpick or pick one of Uwe's specials.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna go counterpick here because I see one at the top of this list that isn't mine. I mean, mine could be bad, but
if you counterpick one of your own movies, I would say
I mentioned
we never
earlier.
thought of that, but that
I
wouldn't
think
be, I don't
I've
think we should
seen
do that,
I've
but-
seen both the Doom movies, but I'm pretty sure I've seen Doom Annihilation in the bargain bin at Walmart before. So I'm thinking that means this movie is maybe at best a C, and then in the top 2 picks, if it's a C, it is what it is. But it could easily be a D. It could be an E. It could be real bad. And The Rock's not in it, I don't think. Like the first one he was in, and The Rock usually at least gives me like at least a half star to be like, all right, cool, jacked guy. You know.
Is that your choice?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dune Annihilation.
Wow.
I'm gonna counterpick that.
Counterpicking
sorry,
the
Dave.
first pick. Crazy.
I had that number 8th overall on my list. So
Okay.
And I'm looking at the thing. That's the lowest I can do. So.
Okay.
I mean, I wish you the worst of luck because that means I get more points.
right. All right.
Back to David.
David, it's back to you. You can either do a counterpick or you do have an Uwe special or a sequel series sequel.
Yeah.
A gold or rainbow or a counterpick.
I think I'm going to pick an Uwe one because I feel like if House of the Dead is going to be like a D, Alone in the Dark might be an E, and Far Cry, I think, has a lot of, in my mind, like the Far Cry games, I've never played a full one, but like they have a lot of people interactions, and that makes me very nervous for Uwe. Like if you're just shooting stuff, like it's hard to be racist when you're shooting things. But it's pretty easy to be racist when you're talking. So I'm going to do Alone in the Dark.
Okay. Far Cry as a series is usually about involves someone in a environment or a country that they're not from. So like, you know, or like the bad guys as well.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck, I'm gonna get that movie. Damn it.
all right, David's 5th pick is Alone in the Dark.
Which we almost watched. I think we originally, that was like one of the first movies
It was
we
our
did
plan,
for like a Halloween, October. Was that, and I think it was House of the Dead were the 2 like double features we were going to do.
Yeah.
And then once we watched Postal, and we're like, maybe not.
Why would we subject ourselves to these? And I don't know why. We're still doing it. All right. It's my turn to either pick a sequel series or a counter pick. I'm going to do... Well, here's the thing. I know David can't counter... Well, David still can counterpick a movie in the first or second slots.
I could.
So I guess he could. Although at this point there are Uwe Boll films out in the wild. Why wouldn't you want that? You know what I mean? And actually, I have to do my final 2 actions now, right? I have to pick a movie.
Last 2.
Oh, no. I have a counterpick as well. I can counterpick Far Cry, unless David does it before me. I was thinking about that. Because I have a counterpick, a movie, and another counterpick.
Oh, right. Correct.
Right.
So I have 3 actions. Do I counterpick now? Oh, again, I'm going twice in a row. Why does it matter between these 2 things? Whatever. I'm going to pick my final movie between one of these sequel series ones. And these are sequels to movies I picked last season, right? Fatal Fury 2, The New Battle, or Persona 3, the movie number 4, Winter of Rebirth. My choices are, I think this Fatal Fury 2 is like not a part 2 in the sense of like, hey, this is one OVA split into 2, but if I understand correctly how it might have been more of just like, hey, this is made shortly after based off like the dates that are on the spreadsheet. So it's probably very similar to that. And for Persona 3, the movie number 4, obviously these were all made as one plan to make this one game into 4 of these animated films, all, you know, budgets in check and all that, all planned as one, so it can't be drastically different in terms of what their plan was, but it's the finale. So I think there's a good chance that maybe it wraps up. There's maybe an attempt to make something beautiful at the end with the themes of what that game was going for. I never finished the game. I don't know what happens in the end. So that is my last movie pick, is going to be Persona 3, the movie.
I would have picked that too, out of the two, personally, as well. I think at least it felt, even if I didn't like love it, it always felt well made. And the Fatal Fury one was very of the time, and for better or for worse, you know.
All right. Okay. So then I have to make a counter pick, and my first counter pick has to be a movie within the first two sections there. My options are there's only 3 movies I can pick, because Devin had counterpicked Doom Annihilation. So I have the option between Last Order, Final Fantasy VII, Detention, or Red Faction Origins. I don't know. I've never seen Last Order, but I had seen obviously Advent Children, Final Fantasy VII, which I think Last Order was like not a bonus feature, but was like, hey, we also made this animated thing, and it's like, I think maybe a re-release of the movie had it in it as well, or something like that. Might have been, but it is its own standalone thing. Red Faction Origins is a sci-fi original movie based off the video game.
That's why I picked it that high, by the way. It was the sci-fi. I was like, oh, those movies are cheesy bad, but like in a fun way, you know.
Right? Yeah, maybe. And then Detention, which I really don't know anything about.
That's a total crapshoot.
For folks at home that don't know, behind the scenes playing baseball here, I have a master spreadsheet list of all the video game movies ever made, and I made that shortly after we started doing the movies in general. Way years ago, literally years ago now. But several times over the years, I've reassessed the list and widened my stance on what should be on there. For instance, we had a YouTube commenter within our first year or so be like, oh man, I can't wait for you to review Halo 4 Unto Dawn. And then like, yeah, cool. I'm thinking, oh man, that's not on the spreadsheet at all, because it's like a collection of shorts that they like kind of made into one movie. So that didn't count as a video game movie to me. So like, okay, that stuff gets added in, and that stuff. The visual novel stuff, I didn't add them in because I'm like, I don't know much about these. There's a lot of things where like, well, like none of the Pokemon movies are on it because those are movies based off the cartoon, not based off the video game, if that makes sense. And so learning more and more, Detention was added in within the last group because like, no, this is based off a video game. I just do not understand what it is because it's in Taiwan and and all this stuff, so I just wasn't aware of it. So maybe it's because of that recency of like, that I have. I'm like, I don't know. But like, I really don't know which of these 3 movies I'm going to be counterpicking. I think I have ganged up on David enough last season. I think I have gained. I'm turning a new leaf, and it's time to.
Hey, maybe
apart
Detention's
Devin.
bad. You don't know.
I'm sure all of these movies are bad. Every movie on
That'd be the
list.
saddest thing is all these are like
all
at
Ds.
best C. Yeah, C or Ds. Yeah.
So my first counter pick is going to be Red Faction Origins.
Okay.
We will see. I maybe regret that. Who knows? Maybe Final Fantasy Last Order is so short and there's not a lot of room. Or,
right. It's risky. Like I said, I only picked Final Fantasy VII mostly because I know generally of that story. I'm like, pro-environment, and there's, fighting the government, cool stuff like that. But like, yeah, and I picked it only because it's 30 minutes. I'm like, if David doesn't like it, he'll be like, oh, it's only 30 minutes. Or in general, if we don't like it, we'll be like 30 minutes. But I know David's
He'll find a reason to hate it because it's something that I like.
No. David's been, I get it too. He was very critical last season on the animated stuff, but we're gonna find out this season for sure because there's a lot more.
Yep.
We are.
Man.
All right, David, your last movie pick, or if you want to do a counter pick, you can do so now.
Man, yeah. So you picked Persona 3. I did not mark that down.
Oh yeah, you're stuck with
Yeah,
the movie you
Fatal.
pick.
I
You're
mean,
just stuck with.
Yeah.
In what order do you want to do?
Fatal
Do you want to drop the
Fury.
movie, or do you counterpick first? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Fair
I'm picking
enough.
the movie first because Devin still needs to pick his Uwe movie, and then I think I will pick his Uwe
Oh,
movie. So
Assuming Ethan
picking,
doesn't pick it though.
yeah,
No, he's going to be
could
counterpicking before I get to.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Fatal Fury 2.
Okay.
Smart strategy,
The
folks.
New battle.
Yep.
The new battle. And I'll clean up this image here and make it all nice for when we get to our first episode. Devin. Oh man, Devin. What movies are you gonna pick? I see one bright and shiny in the corner down there.
Yes.
What's
Or
it
I can
gonna be?
counterpick, a movie. That
But then
maybe
you have to pick the movie then anyway.
I know
have
I
to go-
go back to back, so it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to think what movie I want to counterpick. Because part of me wants to double down on David, because he was my biggest threat last season. Do I just gain points from his,
Ow.
from his demise of picking,
I mean,
Doom Annihilation and Alone in the Dark? Then he had to pick Alone in the Dark. But Fatal Fury, we rated that at a D last year, and that might be its ceiling. House of the Dead, I'm kind of with Ethan where it's like, it probably will be bad, but there's a chance maybe it sneaks into like a C, and I don't get anything on a counter pick for that.
could potentially.
But then I see like Tales of Vesperia, The First Strike, that might just be like, whatever.
That could be a stinker too.
Even if it's boring, we put that in the D, right? So it's like
Yeah.
Sakura Wars, the movie, know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Agent
You have a lot of
47.
Yeah.
Agent 47. We
We
didn't
never. Oh,
I feel like I
Throw this out
remember
there.
this movie coming out, and I remember people not liking it.
for which movie?
Hitman
Agent 47.
We'll
Because
see.
I remember people being excited. But
I will say, Devin, you have to pick an Ethan movie because you already picked a David movie.
I don't think we decided that.
We said that at the beginning of this episode.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah, I remember I said for my example, I have to counterpick a David movie and a Devin movie, and then David has to pick an
I thought you were
movie
saying
and
that
Devin
in the
movie.
example is like last time because we double dipped on one movie under someone. I'm okay if we don't do that.
I mean,
That's fine.
I think that makes sense, but if we
I mean, I feel like
Don't
we're
care.
not doubling down on movies already, and that already makes it hard. So I feel like the restriction of you have to put it on one of each.
I mean, I'm
Okay,
okay either
okay.
way. But like if you
Hey,
want
I-
to go against,
Sure.
like theoretically, all I could have all on me.
Devin
I'm-
was not under the impression he had to pick an Ethan movie. It's the first time we're doing a second counter pick. You can pick.
I mean, I
a
was
David
leaning
movie if you
towards
want.
doing one on you anyways, just because of I'm looking at like Sakura Wars or Persona 3. 'Cause or at least Persona 3, I have familiarity. It's for me right now, like
It's Devil I Know situation.
yeah, where it's like House of the Dead easily could be an E, and I could be missing points there if I don't put it there. But I feel like I'm going for guaranteed points. That's usually how I do these fantasy games. All right, I go for like averages. Persona 3, I feel like it's at least a D.
You could also counterpick Werewolves Within.
I could.
I noticed you didn't pick the movie. You must not have wanted
No.
it.
Or do I go House of the Dead and assume it's bad? But that one clip did kind of look stupid, but in a fun way. I hate to admit it. A guy like exploded or whatever.
Tough choices.
And
I-
Hitman,
here's
I
the
also
thing.
heard was bad.
If you were to
but
ask
it
me,
could be
if you were to ask
fine.
me which of if I were to predict like the order of good to bad for those last four movies I have on my list here, I couldn't be confident. You know what I mean?
I know I'm not
Obviously,
confident in any of
blank,
these.
blank,
That's
blank.
that's what makes this so
And
tough.
same for David, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I feel like David's just going to do an Uwe Ball. think it's easy to go after Uwe Boll. I'm gonna go. This might cost me the whole damn thing, but I'm gonna go Persona 3. I'm just gonna go with. It's probably gonna be a D at best.
Yeah.
We'll think it's fine.
I think that's pretty safe.
Or we're kind of like, yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. Or it's all the things we said about the last one, which was like, felt like it should have just been a TV show, but they crammed it into an hour and 20-minute film. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then with my last pick, I'll pick, unfortunately, Far Cry. But who knows? They might all be E's, all the Uwe Boll films, so I'm okay getting it at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I felt like after House of the Dead was picked, I didn't really care that much between Alone in the Dark and Far Cry. But
it's funny that they're rainbows on the diagonal here. If my picking order for the Uwe Boll stuff was House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, and then Far Cry.
Yeah,
I had it the same way, so I think it just fell how it fell. Yeah.
And for the sequel series, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I was like maybe hoping someone picks stuff so I don't really have to sit here and choose. Yeah. Okay. So, David, you have your last counter pick.
I mean,
to make.
I'm going for the crown and counter picking Far Cry.
Fair enough.
No mistakes here.
Fair enough. I can't hate.
Watch it be like a masterpiece somehow.
It's possible.
I'd be fine.
It's like the whole movie is just about like accepting your differences and like respecting other cultures and like
it's the start of his villain arc. Like he's good in this one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Something happened. Right. He got divorced or something and just became a Nazi. I don't know.
This is also the latest one in the series. So if he's going further and further,
it's gonna be it's gonna be an E. I gotta hope it's not an F. That's all I gotta hope for. As long as it's an E.
2008 too. So
if I get a D somehow, then I won. Like that's how I look at it. Like it's just that's a steal if I get it for a D. I'm assuming and I'm hoping for an E. Hope it's not an F. I'm not even assuming anything. I'm just gonna.
It's possible it could be an F. He's the only one who's broken that barrier
That's
before.
So scary.
He's broken the glass ceiling downwards into the F tier. Here's where I reveal that Batman Assault on Arkham is the worst movie I've ever seen. No, I'm kidding. I have to make a counter pick. And the obvious one sitting in front of me is Alone in the Dark. It's sitting there. And while I enjoyed the first OVA of Fatal Fury enough, and that was not the consensus, so I cannot expect my personal enjoyment to override a possibly similar movie. So that's also an option as well. I feel like that one's almost more guaranteed, personally. I could also do Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, because that last Mortal Kombat was really just whatever. But those are all anthology, and they are like, I think they all take place in the canon of that animated movie series. But like, they're not like, stay tuned for the next thing. It's like this could be something cool, as far as I know. I actually own the steelbook of Snowblind. I still own the shrink wrap.
Maybe it's about cocaine.
Yes, you do so much coke that you lose your eyesight. I don't know. Company of Heroes. And
you're gonna if you counterpick Company of Heroes, just like a week or two after Memorial Day and before 4th of July, like you're not a patriot.
Who said I was? That's where you would edit.
He counterpicked Company of Heroes. Can't believe it. What a radical.
But I'm looking at what happened in the first picks. David picked my second pick. Devin picked David's first pick. I picked Devin's second pick. There's a nice down, up, down. And at the bottom, I'm seeing down on the left, down on the right. I guess I got to keep a pattern and go up and do Alone in the Dark.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, you got
a nice visual.
You got to pick Uwe.
And hey, and I said this beforehand, not that I think David wouldn't have done it unless I had let it slip, but like I was going to counterpick Far Cry if that was an option for me, obviously. So I got to go with the next best option, Alone in the Dark.
Yep.
Okay, so these are the movies we're going to be watching this season. I'm excited for this. Surprised, honestly, that our 6 picks weren't the Uwe Boll stuff. Not terribly surprised, but that's how I expected it to go, I guess. And we have a nice variety here. So I'm going to read off. This is the order of the movies we are going to be watching. So even though we snake drafted, we are not going to watch in that snaking order. It's basically I am the first one in every picking, tier, just like last time. So this is the order of the movies that we are going to be watching. Werewolves Within, Doom Annihilation, Last Order Final Fantasy VII, Forbidden Siren, Detention, Red Faction Origins, Hitman Agent 47, Batman Assault on Arkham, Meiji Tokyo Renka the movie Serenade of the Crescent Moon, House of the Dead, Tales of Vesperia The First Strike, Company of Heroes, Sakura Wars the movie, Alone in the Dark, Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind, Persona 3 the new movie number 4 Winter of Rebirth, Fatal Fury number 2 The New Battle, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again,
yeah.
and Far Cry. I was like, I'm going to do it at the end, and Devin's going to be like, I'll sneak it in there. True fans know from the Chronicles of Diesel. Those are the 18 movies we are going to be watching this season. Place your bets below, and we will see in probably a year's time how this all had shaken out. We're not done here.
I was gonna say, first reactions though. Like, what are we like? Did all your boards fall how you wanted to? Because I'll say this: my top 4 picks, I got 2 through 4, 1, 2, 3. So I'm pretty happy with how I got exactly
1,
what I
3, and
wanted
4.
outside of Werewolves Within. So okay,
Yeah.
My 4th pick in my notepad document is a movie none of us picked. I kind of just was like looking and feeling how I saw, honestly. Like, yes, my first 3 movies were my first 3 movies, but then like after that, it was kind of just like I don't know. I'm seeing what's available, what's left. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, this compared to last season where I was like, I feel like I was taking flyers, so to speak, where I'm like, this is just crapshoot. I
was the one taking flyers.
It was maybe the start of like the 4th round, like 4th, 5th, 6th. This time it was like really just even Last Order Final Fantasy. Like I said, I only picked that because I generally know about Final Fantasy VII and it's short, and I think it's probably I'm hoping it's the best of the animated ones. And if most of the movies are animated, I just kind of did the math a little bit. So. I feel like after the second one, it really is just to me. I'm just pulling flyers. I don't know.
Okay.
But I like David's. I'll say I like David's with Batman there at 3rd. I had that in my 5th. So you got it pretty good right before. I was gonna have to take that if it came back around.
Yeah. I really thought Ethan was gonna grab that one on his 3rd. Because I feel like it could be a solid B.
I was, even though Devin gave me permission and you agreed with it, David, still part of me is like, don't pick something you've seen already, I
mean, you gave us all the info of your opinion, so I felt like it was fair. But no, I'm happy with my picks. I mean, when you think about it, we really only got to pick like 4 movies, and the other 2 are like, we know these are gonna be bad. So I felt like this was an easier draft for me than last year, and I thought the counter pick sort of midway through was kind of fun as well. I thought that was a good change for us.
And I think for me, this is my gut reaction. I think, David, you're kind of similar to last season where I feel like you're more top heavy, but so I feel like you're going to get your points early, and I'm just going to hope that like Alone in the Dark and Fatal Fury are bad. I feel like mine's a little bit more last year I felt pretty good. I was like, nope, I feel like I'm just gonna get solid points through all these. I was surprised that Tetris got that was really good. I was hoping just like B's down the line, B's, C's down the line, because that's how Ethan beat me the first season. I felt like it was just like maybe he had one D, but like it was B's, C's, B's, C's, because that's what gets you the points.
I had the only A as well, and and there were no S's.
Yeah.
So
and I feel like Ethan's, like I'm looking at that, I'm like, I think has a better chance to just be more average.
I'm playing to win this time around, more so than last time for sure.
I feel like I could either mine. I'm hoping, obviously like they do all really well, and I'm like, oh, maybe outside of Far Cry is the only one I'm like, no, I'm just gonna count that as a loss. I just hope I have enough points by that end time. It doesn't come down to that.
Yeah.
Which will make the season exciting, I hope. But I feel like it could either be. I feel like it could be over real quick for me though. That's what I'm afraid of. But I think that's what makes this fun. This is gonna be high variance, I think, of points.
Yeah,
so maybe in the twilight hours of. Sorry to cut you off, David, but maybe in the twilight hours, someone will propose something to Devin that might give him a sporting chance while also helping out that person in the first place. David, what are you going to say about Doom?
No, I was just going to say the same as Devin. Like, if Doom and Detention are bad, like, I think it's going to be a real rough season.
It's all Jover.
I just realized I
remember when we used to say
one
that?
overall and then last overall, by the way. I think I'm crazy for that, but we'll see how it pans out for the counter picks.
Interesting.
But I like the rule changes with the counter picks too. I think.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun. Obviously, for folks watching the YouTube video version, which is probably how you should watch this, because there's not anywhere else to watch, as opposed to listening to it. There are sections to the right of every of these movies. That's where the letter grade goes. If you didn't watch her last season, I guess I never specified that. But yes, and like there's the score above them. Obviously, they're all at 0. There's no handicap for me, and there's no penalty for Devin just because of our standings. Although that would be funny to be like, Devin, you start in negatives because fuck you, you won last time. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this draft. The next episode for the video game movie reviews will be Werewolves Within. I believe that was 2022. Right, Devin?
21, I think. It's
like
in the
that.
last. It's in the last 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So yeah, I'm excited because like I'm looking at this kind of order here, and I'm like, there's potential for some early stinkers, as opposed to like previous seasons where it just felt like we were just climbing down the ladder. You know what I mean?
And there was a couple bright spots maybe here and there. You're like, oh,
surprises. I mean, Professor Layton obviously was David's last movie, and that was
the underdog pick of the
crazy.
Year. If you got to give superlatives, that was definitely like most surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very possible. I will say, I do not think, even though we have chosen preferences for which Uwe Boll film over the others, I'm not expecting any of these to go.
They all can be E's. They all can be E's easily.
I think they probably all will. There's just a higher likelihood, and no one counterpicked mine, so there's no easy points to gain off of one of my movies in that regard, at the very least. So I guess I'm content with my pick. I'm playing to win. Not that I wasn't playing to win last time, but I'm definitely playing to win. I hate going from first to last.
I just hope my counter pick on Persona 3 doesn't cost me. But I'm going for, like I said, the averages. I think it's at best a D, and maybe it'll slip into an E, and then it'll basically make different. Maybe House of the Dead, like you said earlier, could maybe sneak into like a C, and then I'll feel better, but we'll see.
Yeah. Sneak into C? I'm thinking maybe it sneaks into D at best, but who knows?
It could just be mad. I mean, that's the older. It's only 2003, so I feel like that's, He was probably really trying at that point.
Back then.
Yeah.
It might be. You're right. It might be just at best a D, but maybe you never know. That's what's fun about this. This will definitely be interesting.
Yeah, we will find out for sure. But we're not done here. Folks that might not have ever seen an episode of the Sonic Movie Show, I know, which is crazy. It's everyone's favorite thing to do on youtube.com/srankproductions, the only home of video games and the only home of video game movies. But we do a game show at the end of every single review. Devin goes to go get
he's gotta,
something he thinks is.
He's gotta get his.
Yeah, he's doing it. Devin won last season, and David lost last season. This is a competition between the two of them.
The underdogs here, baby. You're talking about winners?
Yeah, there's definitely the idea of winning is involved somewhere out in the world. I hope to see maybe perhaps a winner here. Anyone see any? I just, don't know. But yes, Devin and David competed last year during these video game movie related, sometimes related game shows. We do one of these at the end of every single episode, and they're different every single time. This season is going to slide a little bit more into being about the movie itself. A little bit more. Might not always be the case, but it's going to slide a little bit more in that direction. But hey, we never watched a movie for this episode, so what am I going to do for the game show? David, do you have an idea? Devin?
No.
What am I going to do?
Only thing I know is the result.
And hey, folks at home, do you know who these people are? David? Devin? There's a good chance you maybe don't. So you know what? Why don't we get to know that these guys exist here and learn a little bit about themselves? So that's what this game show is. It's get to know these guys. And they're going to explain and showcase their video game expertise for us so that we really understand. Because the worst thing to happen is finding out that someone who doesn't know anything about video games has really strong opinions about a movie you like and he says is bad. You know what I mean? We really don't want to have that happen and be blindsided. We're getting ahead of it now. Here's how this is going to work. If you watched, and chances are you didn't, the finale to our last season, you would know that the game show we did was back and forth, question-based, and was multiple choice. I would ask David a question, he would give me an answer. Then I would ask Devin a question, he would give me an answer. There was no stealing. It was, this is question 1, question 2 is for Devin, question 3 is for David, question 4 is for Devin. And so for this, I think it's easier to do it this way as well. Now, there are only going to be 3 questions each. Getting it correctly will get you 1 point. There is no chance to steal. There is no negatives. It's a very simple game. There is no multiple choice, however. You need to get it correct. Now, there's leeway here. If I ask David a question and the answer is the video game The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, he can say Breath of the Wild. He doesn't need to give me the full title. As long as I know what he means, and it's very clear what he means, it means that. It counts. So it's not multiple choice, but you don't need to get the punctuation correct on your answer. Does that make sense, boys?
How about the
I think
grammar?
so.
Well, if you use Grammarly, you're fucked because they use AI now and they're making
No,
up
grammar.
words.
I didn't say Grammarly.
I heard Grammarly.
See, folks, this is a classic example that we saw last season.
Already
and we're gonna see
misunderstanding.
again is, he hears one thing or he changes the words to make me look like the villain, this bad guy. When I was the underdog last season, still am the underdog, and he's trying to make me out look like a villain. I just don't understand it. I don't know what he has for David here, but he doesn't look like a baby face to me.
I mean,
it sounds like you're nervous, Devin.
I'm not nervous.
I'm not gonna take any sides. One thing I prided myself on, and I said this in the finale, is that I did not give David a handicap. David was behind a lot during the entire season, and I prided myself on not being like, all right, I'm going to kind of slide things in David's favor. I never did, because I trusted that regardless of how the chips lied down on the table, it was going to be entertaining regardless. And I'm keeping to that. I am as neutral as possible. Part of this includes not defending myself against David or against Devin, because that would imply that I am biased in one direction. I am not. So we're going to
don't care about your feelings.
But because David did lose the game show last year, we are going to start with his questions first. Now, it doesn't matter because they are David questions and Devin questions, because these questions are about the video games you personally know. They are not. I'm not going to ask a question about a video game that one of you knows and the other one doesn't, and not have that go to the person. You know what I mean? Or video games neither of you know. These are direct video game questions about games you are aware of. So, David, are you ready for your first question?
Ready, Freddy.
Okay. In the video game Counter-Strike 2, how much does it cost to purchase an AK-47 at the beginning of a round?
$2,700.
David says $2,700, I imagine. I don't know why my mouse
USD.
cursor turns into
USD.
a pen here. Why does it do that? What the hell is going on here?
Things are already against me.
Apparently. I'm like trying to edit this thing and it just won't let me.
I don't even know what you're using, so no, I don't know. Excel?
Well,
I don't know.
no, I mean it's the visual here is made in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to try to edit the score to say that you're right, but I can't.
Okay.
I'm being neutral, but
If it ain't on
maybe
the
someone
scoreboard-
tried
if it
to.
ain't on the scoreboard,
You're not gonna give
Whoa,
me points
whoa.
either because I can't edit yours either. Something's going on.
Sounds like a tie.
Something's going on here. Can I do that? Oh, I can do that. All right, David, you get a point. That is correct. It is $2,700 in Counter-Strike 2. And I made sure
Easy
that was
peasy.
very specific as to not be like, oh, as you mean like what it used to be in an earlier Counter-Strike 2. David has one.
That's actually never changed.
Oh,
been
well, see,
pretty
I didn't know that.
consistent.
That's David.
Now,
knows
if
his
you would have
stuff.
gone with the M4s, that would have been a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
Oh. Do you not use it?
Well, they had just have changed, and they've
okay.
changed
Last
between the
6
A1S
months.
and A4.
I see.
Yeah.
So we're starting easy and we're gonna get harder as we
Yeah.
go. So Devin,
like
this
it.
is your first question. I hope you're prepared. The character of Kratos from the God of War series is capable of many violent attacks. How much damage does 2 hits of Plume of Prometheus do in Soul Calibur Broken Destiny for the PlayStation Portable?
See, folks,
That's crazy.
this is what I'm talking about.
Do you have
But
an
I'll
answer?
answer anyways. Yes, I do. You said how many? What was the tail end of that?
I'll answer. What was it again? How much damage does 2 hits of Plume of Prometheus do in Soul Calibur Broken Destiny for PSP?
Which I didn't play this game.
Huh.
How much damage? I'm assuming it's out of 100. Unlike your average fighting game, health bar. So I'm gonna say 9.
Devin, that is incorrect. 2 hits of Plume of Prometheus and Soul Calibur Broken Destiny for the PlayStation Portable does 34 points of damage. Fighting games don't do it on a 100 as your health. I guess someone doesn't know their video games. Okay, David, here is your next question. Name 3 characters from Baldur's Gate 3.
What? Okay. You have Asterion,
Of course.
Gale,
Okay.
and Shadowheart.
Okay. I'll take your word
Those
for
sound
it.
made up. That sounds like you just
David.
did like a generator, and they're just like fantasy names. and-
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
David, that is correct. Congrats.
I'm liking
As
how
I
this
now-
new season's starting off.
As I now try to edit the score again, as this document does not like it. Okay. Now, Devin, there's still a chance for you to tie. If you get your next 2 questions correct and David gets his wrong, we can get into a
Right.
tiebreaker round. It's still anybody's game. So here is your next question. Are you ready? Of course you are. Dead Space is a game all about surviving in deadly space. While it has some anti-gravity segments, you do spend most of it succumb to gravity's embrace. What is the acceleration of gravity on the planet Jupiter?
3.
No, Devin. It's 24.79 meters per second squared. That's the acceleration of gravity on Jupiter. I thought you knew.
See,
Oh
he-
my-
thought you knew this.
See.
stuff.
It's like I said
you
it
knew this
earlier.
stuff.
I said it earlier. I don't even need to say anything else because it's just happening in real
Hey,
time. You get to see it. This
your
is like
actions
January
tell you.
6th. This is like January 6th.
Which one of us
Oh,
looks
wow.
like we went? Anyway, Hey, this is all about the audience getting to know your video game expertise. That's all. So, David, we're here going to go to your third question. Are you ready?
All right.
Take your time. Let me
I'm
know
a
if
little
you're
bit
ready.
nervous that I'm going to get one of these easy ones wrong. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, this should be the
Weird
hardest
that you
one.
know that. It's weird that you knew that was easy though ahead of time. Huh.
This should be
Oh,
hard.
well, it's just
again,
easy
we're
because
going,
I know my stuff.
You know. All right. Here's a question for you. Is the video game Raft single player or multiplayer?
Multiplayer. I'm stealing his question.
What? Is that
David,
allowed?
What's your
Multiplayer.
answer? David, that is correct. The answer is multiplayer. Congrats. Very happy for you. Well, let me edit this. It's very annoying. There we go.
Weird how that works. Weird how like karma in the universe works when you try to steal. And try
I know.
To cheat.
I know.
Yep.
Imagine if this whole thing is karma. Devin, here is your last question. According to Steam, the video game Raft has a minimum GPU requirement of what graphics card?
Can you repeat the whole question and make sure you say my full title? Underdog, Devin, current champion. So I feel like you didn't even introduce us. Like,
Don't say you want me to say your full name because I'm not going to. Devin,
Devin, the underdog, the current champion.
who lives at, according to Steam, the video game Raft has a minimum GPU requirement of what graphics card?
I mean, if we're allowed to cheat, I'm just going to look this up. Minimum GPU
5,
requirement.
4, 3,
I think it's a GTX
2,
like 10 something.
1. Devin, that is incorrect. Wow.
This is
We have
rough.
a blowout
This is rough to watch.
for the first time ever on the Sonic Movie Show. David has earned 3 points to Devin's singular 0. This is unscripted. This is unimaginable. This is, quite frankly, I'm stalling here to get this trophy up on the screen. I'm sorry. This is entirely unexpected. I imagined both of you to get 3 points because I thought both of you would know your stuff. This is about the video games that you both know and love. David clearly knows his stuff. I guess maybe when we hide our eyes, our shifty little eyes, behind a false facade of winning, we're lying to ourselves and our audience. Please like and subscribe. With that being said, thank you for watching this episode of the Sonic Movie Show. The only home of video game movies. Hey, there's a subscribe button down there.
Still the champ.
You can watch other episodes. There's a box over there. I'm going to put something in there. David and Devin, thank you for joining me so much. I am excited to get into this season of the Sonic Movie Show proper with you all. And folks out there, if you enjoyed this, again, there's a subscribe button down there. Click it. Thank you all for joining us. Goodbye.